You're not depressed. You're disconnected. And I'm about to show you the difference that could save your life. Right now, 40 million Americans are on antidepressants. But what if I told you that most of them aren't actually depressed? What if the real epidemic isn't mental illness, but spiritual starvation? This is the story of a man who survived hell itself and discovered the one thing that makes humans unbreakable. His name was Viktor Frankl, and his discovery is about to change how you see your entire life. You know that feeling, don't you? That emptiness that no amount of Netflix can fill, that void that no Amazon purchase can touch, that exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. You wake up and immediately grab your phone, not because you're excited, but because silence feels dangerous. You scroll through other people's highlight reels while your own life feels like background music. You achieve things. That should make you happy. But the victory tastes like cardboard. Success without satisfaction. Progress without purpose. You're functioning, but you're not flourishing. You're surviving, but you're not truly alive. And here's what's terrifying. You've gotten so good at pretending that even you believe the performance. This isn't about chemical imbalances or neurotransmitters. This is about something deeper. Something that no pill can fix and no therapist can give you. You've lost connection to the part of you that makes existence feel worth it. Disconnected from a real reason to wake up. From an inner flame that makes your days mean something. And that is way more dangerous than sadness, because sadness screams. Emptiness doesn't. Emptiness just spreads, silent, like invisible poison inside you. Look around. You see it everywhere now. Millions of people scrolling, endlessly, buying things they don't need, chasing achievements that feel hollow the moment they get them. Days that blur into weeks, weeks into months, and suddenly you're asking, where did my life go? Viktor Frankl understood this better than anyone, but he didn't learn it in a comfortable office or from reading books. He learned it in the darkest place a human being can imagine, inside a Nazi concentration camp. Frankl was a psychiatrist before the war. He thought he understood human nature, but when he was thrown into Auschwitz, everything he believed about psychology was tested in the most extreme laboratory imaginable. He watched men collapse before his very eyes, not from hunger, not from cold, but because they had lost their why. They'd wake up and see no reason to keep living. And when that happened, even with physical health, they'd die within days. Many stopped getting up, stopped eating, stopped reacting. They simply gave up. Frankl called this psychic death. The body was alive, but the person inside had already died. But here's what shocked him. It wasn't the strongest who survived. It wasn't the smartest. It wasn't even the luckiest. The survivors were the ones who had found something worth suffering for. A reason bigger than their pain. Some had loved ones they needed to see again. Others had unfinished work that only they could complete. Some believed their suffering could teach the world something important. But they all had one thing in common. They had discovered that meaning is stronger than misery. Frankl began to notice a pattern that would change psychology forever. Those who survived weren't avoiding suffering. They were transforming it. They weren't waiting to be rescued. They were rescuing themselves from the inside out. This is where most people get it wrong. You think happiness comes from removing problems. But Frankl discovered that fulfillment comes from finding purpose in your problems. You don't need to escape the pain. You need a reason stronger than it. And this is what's missing in you right now. It's not chemistry. It's not laziness. It's meaning. You try to fill this void with distractions. Social media, shopping, binge watching, casual dating. But none of that works because the hole inside you isn't boredom. It's absence of direction. Here's Frankl's first life-changing insight. Stop asking what you expect from life. Ask what life expects from you. That sentence changes everything. Because you step out of victim mode and back into author mode of your story. Life isn't here to entertain you. It's here to challenge you, to provoke you, to offer you a mission that only you can fulfill. And when you accept that responsibility, something awakens inside you. It's not joy, not peace. It's something more powerful. Purpose. The same force that kept Frankl alive among corpses. The same energy that can save you from the invisible collapse you're sinking into right now. Maybe you think your life has nothing special. that your days are all the same, that nobody's waiting for you. But you're dead wrong. You haven't realized yet how much your existence affects the world. Frankl said that even pain can be transformed into a masterpiece if lived with dignity. Even suffering can have value if you decide it will serve something greater. You might be suffering now, but that's not the end. That could be the beginning of a reunion with what sustains you from within. You're not depressed, you're disconnected, and that connection can still be restored, not by the world, but by you. The moment you choose not to run from the pain, but to walk through it with purpose. Here's Frankl's most famous insight. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. It's in that space where your life begins to change. Not in therapy, not at work, not in a relationship. It's in the choice to stop reacting on autopilot, the choice to no longer be guided by emptiness, but by real purpose. You have that space now. Even with your chest feeling tight, even without knowing where to start, you can choose to get up and take one step, just one. And that's how everything begins again. Because according to Frankl, man is the child of his freedom, not his circumstances. You might be broke, alone, or sick, but if there's a why inside you, you're still in the game, and you can win. Pain isn't the enemy. What destroys you is the absence of meaning. It's getting out of bed without knowing why. It's repeating the same gestures without soul. It's smiling without feeling anything. It's going to sleep with the feeling that you lived a day that didn't need to exist. That's the death Frankl saw happening every day in the camps. People who weren't dead on the outside, but had already died inside. The body resisted, but the soul no longer responded. That's what might be happening to you. And nobody notices because you remain functional. You deliver your work, pay your bills, smile at gatherings, but inside, everything seems gray, like there's an invisible wall between you and life, and that wall only starts to fall when you understand you're not sick. You're disconnected from what gives color to existence. Frankl survived Auschwitz because, even seeing horrors, he kept an image in his mind. He saw himself lecturing in an auditorium in the future, explaining to people how human beings can find meaning even in suffering. That vision kept him standing. That mental purpose was stronger than hunger, than cold, than fear. Frankl's body was in the camp, but his soul was already somewhere else. You need that image too, something that pulls you forward, something that reminds you who you are, even when everything seems to crumble, because the world will take things from you, will betray you, will abandon you. But if you have a why inside you, nothing can stop you, nothing can tear you away from life, and that's why only you can discover. Nobody can give it to you, but it's there, hidden in the pain you've been carrying in silence. Frankl said life doesn't need to be easy, it just needs to be meaningful. Maybe you're hearing this now because you need a reminder that there's still time. You still breathe. You can still choose. You can still give new meaning to what hurts you. This pain didn't come to destroy you. It came to show you the way back to you, to your essence, to your purpose. You don't need to be happy right now. You need something that justifies continuing. And when that emerges, you'll realize sadness didn't kill you. Pain didn't defeat you. You were just disconnected. But now you're back, whole, present, alive. Most people aren't really seeking happiness. They're seeking relief. Relief from anguish, from fear, from the invisible weight they carry in their chest. But the problem is that relief is temporary. It comes in a purchase, in a like, in a distraction, and soon after the emptiness returns, because emptiness doesn't want to be numbed, it wants to be heard. What's missing isn't stimulation, it's direction. It's knowing exactly why you do what you do, and if that answer is vague or absent, the soul's fatigue will corrode you. Frankl saw this in the camps. Men with strong bodies and broken spirits. They couldn't take it. But he also saw the opposite. Fragile bodies sustained by love, faith, a memory, a mission. Real strength doesn't come from the physical. It comes from purpose. And if you've made it this far, maybe you're ready to find it. But listen, Purpose doesn't fall from the sky. It doesn't appear ready-made, nor does it come with applause. It's born in silence, in discomfort, in confrontation with what hurts you most. Frankl taught that life's meaning changes. Today it might be helping someone, tomorrow surviving with dignity, and at some point forgiving the past. Meaning is flexible, but it's never absent. It always exists. Sometimes it's just buried by haste, by trauma, by pain. But here's what most people don't know about Frankl's story. There was a moment in the camp when he almost gave up. He was sick, exhausted, and had lost all hope. He watched his friend die in his arms. That night, lying on his wooden bunk, he made a decision that would change psychology forever. He started imagining himself in the future, giving a lecture about this exact experience. He saw himself standing in front of an audience, well-dressed, healthy, explaining how humans can find meaning even in hell. This mental image became more real to him than his physical reality. Every morning when the guards screamed at them to wake up, Frankl would hold on to that vision. While other prisoners saw only barbed wire and suffering, Frankl saw a future where his pain would serve a purpose. He was writing his book in his mind, page by page, even when he had no paper. This is what neuroscientists now call predictive processing. Your brain doesn't just react to reality, it creates reality based on what you expect. Frankl programmed his brain to see meaning where others saw meaninglessness, and that programming kept him alive. Now let's talk about you. Right now, millions of Americans are living in their own psychological concentration camps, not built by Nazis but by algorithms, designed to steal your attention, by a culture that sells you happiness but delivers emptiness, by a system that promises meaning through material success but leaves you spiritually bankrupt. You wake up to notifications designed to trigger anxiety. You scroll through feeds engineered to make you feel inadequate. You work jobs that pay your bills but starve your soul. You're surrounded by people but feel completely alone. Sound familiar? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your generation is the most connected and most depressed in human history. You have access to all the world's information, but can't figure out why you feel so lost. You can order anything you want to your door in hours, but can't find a reason to get out of bed. This isn't your fault. This is the result of what I call the meaning recession. While previous generations found purpose in survival, community, and tradition, you've been told to find it in individual achievement and personal happiness. But here's the problem. Happiness is a byproduct, not a goal. When Frankl returned from the camps, he could have been bitter. He could have spent his life seeking revenge or pleasure. Instead, he chose to transform his suffering into service. He dedicated his life to helping others find meaning. That choice didn't just heal him, it made him immortal. His book, Man's Search for Meaning, has sold over 10 million copies. It's been translated into dozens of languages. It's saved countless lives, all because one man decided that his pain would have a purpose. But you don't need to survive a concentration camp to apply Frankl's insights. You just need to understand the three sources of meaning he discovered. First, creative values. What can you give to the world? What unique contribution can only you make? This isn't about being special or famous. It's about recognizing that your existence creates ripples you can't even see. Maybe it's being the person who always listens when others need to talk. Maybe it's creating art that moves people. Maybe it's raising children who will change the world. Maybe it's simply being the light in someone's darkness. Every human life has creative potential that goes far beyond career success. Second, experiential. Values. What can you take from the world? Not material things, but experiences that enrich your soul. Love, beauty, truth, connection. When was the last time you watched a sunset without taking a photo? When did you last have a conversation that changed how you see everything? We live in an age of infinite distractions but finite attention. You can experience everything or nothing, depending on how present you choose to be. Frankl found meaning in a single piece of bread, in a friend's smile, in a beautiful sunrise seen through prison bars. If he could find beauty in hell, what could you find in your life if you actually looked? Third, attitudinal values. This is the most powerful one. When you can't change your circumstances, you can still choose your attitude toward them. This is where real strength lives, not in avoiding problems, but in how you face them. Frankl watched prisoners who had everything taken from them still choose dignity over despair. They couldn't control their suffering, but they could control their response to it. Some became bitter, others became better. The difference wasn't their circumstances, it was their choice. Right now you might be facing your own kind of suffering. Maybe it's a job you hate but can't leave. Maybe it's a relationship that's broken but too complicated to fix. Maybe it's a dream that died and left you feeling lost. You can't always change these things immediately, but you can always change how you relate to them. So stop, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what is life asking of me at this exact moment? Maybe it's not success. Maybe it's not answers. Maybe it's courage. Courage to live with depth. Even without guarantees. Even with fear. Here's what Frankl learned that most therapists won't tell you. You don't need to fix yourself. You're not broken. You're just disconnected from your purpose. And that disconnection is actually a signal. It's your soul's way of saying you're meant for something more. The anxiety you feel when you're scrolling mindlessly, that's not pathology. That's your inner wisdom screaming that you're wasting your precious life energy. The emptiness you feel after achieving what you thought you wanted. That's not depression, that's clarity. Your soul is telling you that external success without internal purpose is meaningless. The restlessness you feel when everyone around you seems satisfied with superficial pleasures. That's not social anxiety, that's spiritual hunger. You're starving for depth in a world obsessed with surface. But here's the beautiful paradox Frankl discovered. The moment you stop seeking happiness and start seeking meaning, happiness finds you. Not the shallow, fleeting happiness of pleasure and comfort, but the deep, unshakable joy that comes from knowing your life matters. This isn't positive thinking or manifestation nonsense. This is existential mathematics. When your actions align with your deepest values, when your daily choices serve something bigger than yourself, when you transform your pain into purpose, you don't just feel better, you become more. And when you become more, the world becomes more through you. This is how one man's suffering in a concentration camp eventually helped millions of people find meaning in their own lives. This is how your current pain, properly understood and channeled, could become the source of your greatest contribution to the world. But let me get practical with you for a moment. Because insight without action is just intellectual masturbation. You're probably wondering, okay, I get it, but what do I actually do tomorrow morning when I wake up feeling empty again? Here's Frankl's practical framework, adapted for your modern life. First, start each day by asking not what you want from life, but what life wants from you today. Not this year, not this decade. Today. What is the most meaningful thing you could do in the next 24 hours? Maybe it's having a real conversation with someone you've been avoiding. Maybe it's finally starting that project you've been putting off. Maybe it's simply being fully present for one person who needs you. The point is to make meaning-based decisions instead of comfort-based decisions. Second, embrace what Frankl called tragic optimism. This is the ability to remain hopeful in the face of unavoidable suffering. You don't have to be grateful for your pain, but you can choose to grow from it. Every setback contains a message. Every failure teaches a lesson. Every loss reveals what truly matters. Your depression isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. It's forcing you to confront the emptiness of a life lived without purpose. Your anxiety isn't torturing you, it's guiding you away from what doesn't serve your soul. Your restlessness isn't a disorder, it's an invitation to discover what you're really called to do. Third, practice what I call existential responsibility. This means owning the fact that you're the author of your own meaning. Nobody else can write your purpose for you. Not your parents, not society, not some guru on the internet. The meaning of your life is the meaning you give it. This is terrifying and liberating at the same time. Terrifying because it means you can't blame anyone else for your emptiness. Liberating because it means you have the power to transform that emptiness into energy. But here's the thing most people miss. You don't find your purpose by thinking about it. You discover it by living it. Purpose reveals itself through action, not contemplation. You can't think your way into a meaningful life, you have to live your way into one. Start small. Volunteer somewhere, create something, help someone, learn something that challenges you. The goal isn't to find the perfect purpose. The goal is to start living purposefully. And as you do, your unique calling will begin to emerge. Now, I need to tell you something that might be hard to hear. If you're still watching this video, it means something in you recognizes the truth of what I'm saying. It means you're ready to stop living in spiritual poverty. It means you're tired of settling for survival when you could be choosing significance. But knowledge without application is worthless. Reading about swimming won't teach you to swim. Understanding Frankl's insights won't change your life unless you apply them. And application requires courage. The courage to stop numbing yourself with distractions. The courage to face your pain instead of avoiding it. The courage to take responsibility for your own meaning-making. Most people won't do this. They'll watch this video, feel inspired for a few hours, then go back to their old patterns. They'll wait for motivation instead of creating discipline. They'll look for their purpose instead of building it. Don't be most people, because here's what I know about you. If you've watched this far, you're not most people. You're someone who's been touched by the same existential hunger that drove Frankl to survive hell itself. You're someone who knows there's more to life than just getting through it. You're someone who's ready to transform your pain into power. The world needs you to do this. Not someday, now. Because your transformation doesn't just change you, it changes everyone you touch. It sends ripples through the universe that you'll never fully see, but will absolutely feel. Frankl survived Auschwitz to write a book that has now reached you, decades later, through this video. His meaning became your meaning. His purpose became your possibility. That's how the chain of human significance works. One person's choice to find meaning in suffering creates meaning for countless others. Your life is not an accident. Your pain is not meaningless. Your restlessness is not pathology. You're exactly where you need to be to become who you're meant to be. But only if you choose it. Only if you step into the space between stimulus and response and make the conscious choice to author your own meaning. This is your invitation. This is your moment. This is your chance to stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the architect of significance. The question isn't whether you're capable of living a meaningful life. The question is whether you're willing to choose. Right now, today, in this moment. Not when you feel ready, not when circumstances improve. Not when you have all the answers now. Because meaning isn't something you achieve. It's something you choose. And that choice, repeated daily, becomes the foundation of a life worth living. Frankl didn't romanticize suffering. He didn't say it's beautiful to suffer. He said it's inevitable. But that within it exists a portal. And only those who cross that portal with their heads held high conquer a type of strength the world doesn't understand. It's the strength of meaning. It's the look of someone who doesn't need everything to be okay to still continue. That look can return to your eyes. You're not broken, you're under construction, you're not sick, you're awakening, you're not depressed. You're disconnected from the most important part of yourself, your why, your fire, your calling. And that reconnection won't come from outside, it starts now, inside, in silence. The moment you decide it's worth continuing. Frankl survived the Holocaust. But more than that, he survived the collapse of the soul. And came out with a certainty. Even in the worst hell, life still has something to offer. This phrase isn't theoretical. It's a punch, a warning, a reminder for you who thought you were at the end. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe it's just the point where you start to wake up, start to choose, start to understand there's still much to do. Life didn't end with pain. It's beginning with it. And if you accept this path not as a victim but as a protagonist, you'll discover that emptiness wasn't the problem. It was just the space where your new purpose would be born. Maybe now you're wondering, but where do I start? Frankl would answer you with something simple. Start by taking responsibility for your pain, not to blame yourself, but to stop being its prisoner. As long as you think your pain will only be healed by someone or something outside you, you'll keep waiting, and the emptiness will deepen. But when you understand you can transform your pain into strength, you stop waiting and start acting. It can be a small step. Reading a book, asking for help, writing a letter that will never be sent, volunteering somewhere, creating something. The pain wants to teach you something. Don't run from it. Listen. Look it in the eyes and ask, what do you want to show me? That question changes lives. It changed Frankl's. It can change yours. It's not about erasing suffering. It's about giving it a purpose. Using that pain as cement to rebuild something inside you that the world tried to destroy. Frankl said human beings are the only ones capable of giving meaning to suffering. And that's a privilege. Because even when everything is taken from you, as it was taken from him, you still have the freedom to choose your response. That freedom nobody can steal, and it starts now. In the silence after this video, in the minute you decide you won't live on autopilot anymore, won't accept emptiness as routine anymore. You're going to search, you're going to dive deep, you're going to rediscover your mission. And when that happens, you won't ask yourself why you're alive anymore. You'll ask, how can I honor this life? With everything I have left. Maybe nobody ever told you this, but you have value, not because you produce, not because you please, but because you exist. And the simple fact that you're still here, breathing, listening, feeling, is proof that your story isn't over yet. Life gave you another chance. Today, now. And Viktor Frankl would leave you with one last reminder. Life has meaning under any circumstances, even in pain, even in loss, even when everything seems meaningless. Because meaning isn't in things, it's in how you choose to live them. You're not depressed, you're disconnected. But now you know the way back, and it starts with a choice. If this message touched you in some way, if at some point you felt it was speaking to you, then I ask, don't keep this to yourself. Someone close to you might be facing the same emptiness in silence. Share this video. Leave a comment saying what impacted you most. Because this isn't just about videos, it's about reminding you of what the world tries to erase. Your purpose, your strength, your inner freedom, and above all, your power to transform pain into direction. You're not alone, and you never were. The truth is you were just disconnected.